And we're live. Dawn here with Romance Happy Hour. I am joined by Dylann Crush and Brittany Armitage. Did I say it right this time?
Got it.
She's my friend and we live in the same town, but I say her name wrong all the time. And Kaye Kennedy. Hi, Kaye. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Good. Thanks for coming. You and Brittany. I'm so glad you guys are here tonight. And let's talk about what we're working on. Dylann, what have you been working on?
Today I should have been writing words, but I spent most of the day refreshing because I had a BookBub sale today. And so Sweet Tea and Second Chances is 99 cents through Monday. And I just keep hitting refresh to see where it's at. So,
nice. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the first one I've had. So we'll see what happens.
Yay.
So that's what I've been doing. And other than that, I'm working on the cowboy book that I've been working on. So the first book in my new Island Cowboys, the Cowboys in Paradise series. So
I was going to say, which cowboy book?
Yes, the Bull Rider. We've talked about it.
No, I know, but you have so many like projects, like juggling. You're juggling so many projects in various stages of.
Well, I'm trying, but I can't juggle. I've tried to learn how my husband can juggle. I mean, nothing dangerous because he'd probably like lose a digit or another thing. So yeah, so I don't know how to juggle properly, but I try.
Well, you're doing very well with your books anyways. Getting them out there.
We'll see. And then what else do I have going on? I am going to a book signing next week. I'm going to Wild Deadwood Reads in Deadwood, South Dakota.
Yeah.
And I'm road tripping with some authors. I mean, I feel like we're all kind of starting to kind of come out of, being reclusive hermits. And so, I don't know, I am really excited. We're going to road trip and we're going to stop at, all the great places on the way. And we're staying in a haunted brothel. So I'm sure I will make lots of posts. I'll keep you all updated on if I get spooked by any Old West ghosts. It'll be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think Karen knows some people that will be there.
And can I just say, Teresa, if you're still here, Dylann and I's internet is acting wonky as well. So we feel you. We feel you.
Well, Kaye said it's Mercury is in retrograde right now, right?
Yes.
So I'm blaming everything on Mercury. I mean, Mercury gets a bad rap as it is.
Yep.
But everything is on Mercury today.
Use the excuse while you can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
What you got going on, Dawn? You had a release this week.
I did, yes. Lipstick and Lassos is out. I'm very excited. That's a cute one. I'm pretty excited about my Poison Ivy scene. If you guys haven't noticed that yet, by all my posts about it, but it was so fun to write. So yeah. So go get it. Lipstick and Lassos, book 3 in the Lone Tree Ranch series, and I am working on a Lexa Jade book right now. And then, yes, I'm not shy about my pen names apparently, and then I'm also, I think next week I'll start working on Cowboys and Christmas Trees. So book 4 in that series. So other than that, I am gearing up to move. I don't know if I've told my readers this yet, but my family and my husband is retiring from the military. So we are moving home to Montana. Next
Finally.
Yeah, finally in August. So yeah. So I will not be at one of the August shows, and Miss Dylann is going to be a busy bee at the end of this month. So I'll be going solo next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dylan's going to go solo in August for me. So just to let you know.
Yep. So yeah, I'm sure everyone will be super, super kind and gentle when we're going solo. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Oh, Karen's asking about your husband.
Yeah. You know what? Now that he's a civilian, he's going to have plenty of time. So he doesn't really have an excuse anymore now, does he?
So maybe he can co-host with you next time, since I'll be off in the mountains in North Carolina at a family wedding. Maybe he can co-host with you.
I don't know. Cause see, when he co-hosts, he keeps saying he really wants to get in shape first. So I think I wonder if he's planning on co-hosting with his shirt off. I mean, at this point, because he's a workout freak. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
For Kaye and Brittany, I think you probably know already because you know Dawn very well. But for Kaye's sake, Dawn's husband, we've been doing this show now for 2.5 years-ish.
Something like that, yeah.
3 years this fall. And since the beginning, Dawn's husband has said he's going to come on, and he has only one time in our like almost 70 episodes, he came on wearing like the creepiest mask ever.
It was Fabio. Fabio.
Oh my gosh.
It was a paper mache mask that Dawn made.
It was not paper mache.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was it?
It was like this clay mold thing. It was like a molding clay.
But it wasn't
molding
like
foam. No, it was homemade.
Okay, but it wasn't. Here, I'll show you.
She has it at the ready.
Sorry.
You didn't show me this when I was at your house this week?
It wasn't like he put on a mask like this.
Listen, I was 100% gonna do that for him, but I could not find a Fabio mask like that anywhere.
Because you can tell who I'm supposed to be, and when he was supposed to be Fabio, we weren't entirely sure.
I did what I had to because Fabio was hot in the 80s, right? So there were like no more Fabio masks.
Well,
anywhere.
You know what? She was hot in the 80s too. Like,
but she's still a queen now.
Sorry, never mind.
So she's still a queen now.
You're right. All right, we should probably move on. Can we let her
probably should
introduce themselves?
All right, ladies, what are you guys working on? Okay, why don't you go first?
I have a book coming out on the 23rd, so 13 days.
Yay!
So I'm working, on getting that all set and ready for release. And I've started my next book, which comes out in August, and it's actually a new series. So I'm excited, but scared, but excited, and all of that comes along with it. So that's what I've been working on. I write firefighter romance right now, my whole series. I started publishing in August of 2020, and this is the 7th book in the series I have coming out this 2 weeks. So that'll kind of wrap up this series for right now, but I'm leaving it open-ended because I'm not sure where I want to go with it. And then the next book that comes out is a spin-off of this series. It's actually it's a police series, so it's a law enforcement series. So you've actually met some of the characters in my current firefighter series. So I'm transitioning now from firefighters to police, which is very interesting. So that's what I'm working on.
That's awesome. So do you are you married to a firefighter or?
I used to be one.
Oh,
I used to be a firefighter. Yeah, I think there's 5 generations of firefighters in my family. So I used to be one in New York until an injury in a house fire ended that. I did date my lieutenant for 7 years. So I do have some experience in that side of things too. And actually this next book that's coming out is loosely based on that concept. So it's actually a female firefighter who ends up dating her lieutenant. So I based it on that. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I love that you're doing first responders. That's awesome. It's way awesome.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure when I first started publishing, I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it. You know, as authors, we have 1,000,001 ideas and not enough time to get all of them out on paper. So I wasn't sure where I was going to go necessarily with my career, but I think I found my niche, my sweet spot. So I think I'm gonna stick with this.
Awesome.
Well, and I'm sure our viewers are going to have a lot of questions about, are firefighters really as hot in person?
Yeah.
Out to be.
Or as the calendars make them out
like
to be.
hand pick the ones on the calendar from, the greater tri-state area, we found 10, or are they really that?
So some of them are, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Some of them are very much not. But the nature of the job is you really do need to stay in shape. So for physique-wise, you do tend to get people who are men who are physically in shape. But not all of them. Some of them are in slow houses and they don't have to necessarily keep up on that as much. So it really depends. But I'd say there's a mix, and it depends on age and what, if you're just a chauffeur, or if you're just an officer, that kind of thing definitely matters. But I mean, all stereotypes come from somewhere.
Exactly.
So.
Yep.
So it must be like like an alpha male first responder kind of military kind of night, because Brittany, you write military, you write Navy SEAL, correct?
Yeah, the last book I wrote, Let Me Go, was Navy SEAL, and then it kind of goes back in the past. So it's sort of a prequel to the series that I started writing, the You and Me series, and they're all ex-military in the present part of the series. So yeah, we do. I have 2 series out right now. The fantasy series that I'm working on, and then I'm working on 2 books at the same time in the You and Me series, because I'll feel inspired to write one, and then the other characters from the book that's coming after that one have started talking. And I'm like, you have to shut up. It's not your turn yet. But I opened that one up and started that one because I'm like, I can't not write. So the others have been kind of quiet. So I've skipped ahead a little bit, and I'm working on book 7 in that series, I think.
Wow, nice.
But it's gonna be hard though, because you're writing. You know, I mean, if you're on your timeline, you're writing the one, and then the next one. You know, how far in the future does that take place? Because then you have to figure out like what this couple already did over here.
I had to get a timeline app, and like I wrote them all out, wrote all the timelines out, because I hate getting into a book and I'm like, well, how did this happen when it's supposed to have only been like this long or this long? So I've had to start writing timelines out, otherwise I'll get myself confused.
Yeah.
So you said you have an app?
It's called, what's it called? I think it's called Aeon.
Oh, yep. I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
So I use that one. It's a little harder with the fantasy series because I have to just kind of make up dates. Things aren't really like, you don't have a January and a December, and you don't have this year. So, but it's been helpful because I can lay everything out versus writing it out on a piece of paper. And then I have 4 kids and animals, and the last one I wrote on, I still have it somewhere. It's like got rips and tears and like baby slobber, and it's a mess. So I like keeping everything electronic. That way the kids don't get a hold of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So afterwards, tell me more about this app, because there's like a million Aeons. So in the App Store.
It's on. I have it on my MacBook. I don't have it on my phone.
Okay. All right.
I have all kinds of cool like software that I've started using. There's one called Art Breeder, and you can make your characters and see what they look like. So I did that for my fantasy series because the last book I released in that series was 4 years ago. So it's kind of been, they were silent. And to get myself inspired to finish that series, I went and like made my characters. So it's kind of cool because you can like picture them versus like looking on the internet and trying to find someone that looks like them. You can like make your characters.
Okay,
cool.
so you're now gonna have to come over. Sorry, I just unplugged my computer. Okay, so you're now gonna have to come over so you can just show me all your apps. All right.
Yeah, let's
do that. Let's do that.
Date.
All right. So we should probably get to reading. Oh, Dylan, did you want to say something?
I just have one more question, because I keep seeing Kaye lift this like scrumptious looking beverage to her mouth, and I'm drinking tonight.
So I bartended for like 10 years. That's my background. But so today's actually National Iced Tea Day, and I actually own a tea company as well. So this is a green tea mojito.
Ooh, yummy.
Which is a mojito with rum, but instead of the soda, I have a lemongrass and mint green tea that I make that I add instead. And then I added some raspberry liqueur to make it raspberry. So
wow. Dylan,
that's what I'm having today.
I feel like we need to add a question to our sign up form for the authors. Like, do you have any bartending experience, or mixing experience because
would you like to create the featured drink of the week instead of my blueberry mixed berry smash or whatever I put up last night? Yep.
It sounds good. Well, I'm happy to help if you ever have questions.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's an amazing drink. That's really cool.
I know, it looks gorgeous.
I'm still
to up our game now, Dawn.
Yeah.
We
All
need
right.
to have more roughage in our beverages, it looks like, based on Kate.
We're gonna have to like infuse shit and stuff. I mean, sorry, stuff. Just stuff.
Are you the one that was saying we need to keep it PG-13 for everyone?
That's PG-13. Have you seen movies?
That is PG-13. Yep, it's changed.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm okay. I didn't say the F word. All right, Kaye, are you ready?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to pop you up there and let's hear from you.
So I'm going to read from the 5th book in my series, which is, so I write all firemen. So I've got all my firemen. But I'm going to read from the 5th book, which I had my readers in my Facebook group, my reader group, vote on which scene to read. So the series actually follows all New York City firemen, and it follows specifically 4 brothers and then their friends. So this is one of the brothers. This is the oldest brother, Kyle. Burning for You is the name of the book. And he is, you see him through, so each book rather can be read as a standalone, but they are interconnected. So you do see the characters pop up in each book. So leading up to this book, you see that he's just like this really grumpy guy who never dates and just seems to always have a chip on his shoulder. So this book explains why, obviously. But I'll read the blurb to you, and then I'll go ahead and read the scene. So, sometimes first love is better the second time around. Kyle. I was 4 when I met Allie Dupree. 10 when I stopped thinking she had cooties. 14 when I realized I was in love with her. And 18 when I finally told her. Then I never saw her again. I also never forgot her, and my heart never let her go. 16 years after she disappeared without a word, she's back, and there's no way in hell I'm letting her get away again, especially because there are still burning embers of what we had. And at the very least, I think I deserve some answers. Allie. Returning to New York had never been a part of my plan, but having to watch my ex-husband move on with his pregnant fiancée before the ink had even dried on her divorce papers had made staying in Michigan impossible. The odds of running into Kyle Hogan in Manhattan were 1 in 3 million. But sure enough, my first month back, I came face to face with the one person I'd never wanted to see again. What had happened 16 years ago had ruined my life, and Kyle can never find out that secret. I won't let it destroy him, too. So that's what I'm going to read from today. And specifically, I'm going to read the scene where they reconnect after 16 years. So they haven't seen each other, haven't spoken to each other since she left for college. And the book is actually split in 2 parts. So it actually goes from when they're kids. They meet when they're 4 years old. So it starts when they were kids and then ends when she leaves for college. And then there's a 16-year gap and it picks up again in the present. So that's where I'm going to read to you from, is when they run into each other again. So I'm going to kind of start in the middle so I don't give anything away. But this I alternate between the hero and the heroine. So this is the hero's chapter. And so he's leaving his brother's apartment and just found out that somebody else has now been paired off. So like I said, this is the 5th book. So he's now seeing his brothers all meet their soulmates and all of that. So he's getting really jaded about love, and it's really starting to grate on him because he never got over Allie. So that's where I'm going to pick up from. I rode the elevator down and took some much needed breaths of fresh air once I was out on the sidewalk. I couldn't get out of that apartment fast enough, and I was proud of myself for coming up with an excuse to leave as quickly as I had. After pulling my phone from my pocket, I typed liquor store into my GPS and walked the 3 blocks to my destination. I was half tempted to stop at each bar I passed on the way to get a shot of Irish whiskey, but I resisted the urge. Stumbling back to Dylan's apartment wouldn't be a good look. I told myself that if I still felt like I needed a shot on my walk back, then I'd stop for one. Just one. The bell jingled when I opened the door to the liquor store, and I raised my chin at the guy behind the counter before going in search of the champagne. Foil tops poked out 2 aisles down, so I made my way over there, assuming that they were the champagne I was looking for. As I turned down the aisle, my eyes caught sight of a familiar head of chocolate-colored hair, and my feet froze to the tile. As involuntarily as my breath, her name slipped out of my mouth. Allie? She glanced up from the Chardonnays, and her bronze eyes widened as she turned toward me. The bottle she was holding slipped from her hand, and her foot broke its fall, preventing it from shattering. It had to have hurt, but she didn't even flinch. She simply stared at me with her mouth agape as the bottle rolled onto the shelf. My blood drained to my feet as every last feeling I'd had for her since we were 4 came rushing back like they'd never left. 16 years ago, when she did. I didn't know if I should run away and scream or run to her and pull her into my arms. I wanted to do both, so I didn't do either. We stood in the wine aisle, neither of us making a move beyond staring in silence. I was 10 feet from the one that got away, and the sight of her told me what my heart already knew. She may have gotten away, but I had never let her go. Now I'll pick up with Allie. Instantly, my palms began to sweat, and a chill ran up my spine. This can't be happening. I'd been living in Manhattan for a month, and out of the 3 million people who crammed onto that island on a daily basis, I somehow managed to enter the same liquor store as the one person I'd hoped to never see again. Life could be cruel. I glanced up and turned toward him. My mouth hung open, but I struggled to come up with words. Kyle Hogan, my childhood best friend who I'd selfishly abandoned 16 years before. The wine bottle fell from my hand and hit my foot, but the pain hardly registered. In many ways, he looked the same. He was still a big, muscular guy with those captivating crystal blue irises. His hair was cropped short in a military style, and he had lines around his eyes that showed every one of his 34 years. I fought the urge to run into his arms and tell him how much I'd missed him and how sorry I was, because certainly he hated me. Kyle, I managed to choke out. Hi. He blinked several times as though he was trying to figure out if I was an apparition. I was having the same thought. As I stared into his eyes, I got a glimpse of what was beneath his rugged exterior, and I saw the boy who'd loved me in our youth. He was my biggest what if in life, the boy who might have been my forever, if only. Allie, he repeated. How are you? I asked. It was a platitude I almost immediately regretted. He shrugged. What are you doing here? I live here. Oh. There was a tinge of hurt in his tone. He folded his arms across his chest. My gaze dropped to his biceps, which swelled beneath the hem of his t-shirt sleeves. He'd managed to get even more muscular than he'd been at 18. I moved back from Michigan a few weeks ago. He nodded. I see. Yep, he definitely hates me. I pointed to the emblem on his shirt. So you're a fireman? He nodded. Lieutenant. I smiled. That's great. Yeah. He took a couple steps forward. You living around here? I hooked my thumbs into the pocket of my sweatshirt. 2 blocks away. You? I own a house in New Rochelle, but I work on Columbus Avenue. An entire island, and I picked an apartment right by Kyle's station. Freaking life. Oh, so did you just finish work then? Earlier. Dylann lives around here, so I was at his place. Freaking life times 2. Yeah? How's he doing? Good. He got married this past June. I grinned. That's great. It was weird to imagine the 16-year-old boy I knew being all grown up and married. Yeah, his firehouse is in this area too. Of course it is. So you're both firemen, he nodded. Jesse and Ryan too. My brows arched. All 4 of you? He nodded again. Wow, that's wonderful, Kyle. He stared at me, and as uncomfortable as it was, I couldn't look away. There was a heavily guarded pain in his eyes that I recognized because I saw the same distant emptiness in my own when I looked in a mirror. I bit my lip, and his gaze dropped to my mouth. Allie. His voice trailed off, but that one word, my name, said a million things. He wanted answers, and I couldn't blame him for that, but I wouldn't put him through that pain. I'd carried the burden on my own for close to 2 decades, and I was content with my decision to shield him from that. I swallowed. He sighed. I held my breath. And then he said, It's nice to see you. You look great. Trying not to dwell on the fact that I was in my gym clothes, I exhaled. Thanks. So do you. I had to get out of there. I've got to go, but it was good to see you too. He reached into his back pocket and retrieved his wallet, pulling out a business card. I'd love to get together and catch up. He extended the card to me. If you want. When I took it, my finger brushed against his and we both flinched. His card had the FDNY emblem on front with Lieutenant Kyle Hogan imprinted in the middle. I grinned with pride over his success. Sure. My cell is on the back. I flipped it over to find the numbers scrawled across the back in his familiar, abysmal handwriting. He stepped away. I hope to see you soon, Allie. I nodded and began to walk down the aisle toward the door. He stopped me. You're forgetting your wine. I spun around to see him holding the bottle I'd dropped, so I went back to him. Oh, right. He held out the bottle, and I noticed there was no wedding ring on his finger. I reached for the other end, and both of us held on for a few seconds too long. My heart raced for the sensation of being near him again after all this time. He let go and stepped back. Thanks. Or thanks. You're welcome. I clutched the Chardonnay to my chest and scurried to the register where I paid for my wine before hightailing it out the door. The entire walk home, I wondered if that encounter had really happened or if I'd been daydreaming. Seeing Kyle again was surreal, to say the least. There had been so many times over the years where I'd come close to contacting him, but I'd always chickened out because I was embarrassed about how I'd behaved. Plus, after disappearing the way that I had, I figured he'd never take my call. Months turned into years, turned into a decade and a half. I'd moved on, gotten married, gotten divorced, but the memory of Kyle was always in the back of my mind. I'd thought of him often and wondered how his life had turned out. I couldn't dwell on it long, though, before the familiar sense of self-loathing kicked in. Back at home in my tiny one-bedroom apartment, I put the wine in the fridge, having lost the craving, and curled up on my living room couch. I squeezed my eyes closed and repeated the mantra that my therapist had practically beat into me. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. Eventually, I fell asleep. That's it. That's all I got.
That is so good. You make me want to write first person. I've never written first person, but I'm sitting, and I gotta say, somebody said, amazing reader. Oh yeah, Karen said, "Kaye, you're an amazing reader," and I was like,
oh thanks.
If I could write first person like she reads first person, that would be awesome.
Thank you. I did theater way back when.
Okay.
I actually considered going to school for that, but then my childhood best friend got her big break and I saw what that did to her life. And I'm like, nope, don't want to be in the public spotlight like that. We're going to not do it anymore. So I like writing first person because it lets me really get into character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done both. I feel like the other day when I was working on this cowboy book, because my cowboy books are normally in third person, and I started, like, I sat down after I had gone to do something and I came back in and I started writing and it was all coming out first person. And so it's so hard when, it's like I keep flip-flopping, but I feel like writing in first person, you just get, it's a little bit deeper POV. I think, for sure you can write deep POV in third person, but for me as an author, I feel like I feel it more when I'm writing first person.
Okay.
It's true.
High heels and
good with words tonight.
High heels and cowboy boots started out as first person. I revised it because it kind of did it like years and years ago and then pushed it aside. No, I'm going to finish this book. I'm going to do some cowboy indie books. And then, so I resurrected it, changed it to third person. I don't know why. Like I should have just kept with first person because Brittany, when she got it, she was like, there's like these random eyes.
Oh no, switching faces on me.
It's hard to do though because you slip sometimes if you write in both, or if you just write one and
yeah,
slip.
My fantasy's in first, and my You and Me series is in third. So I was writing one day. And I was like, I really need to write the other. And I started writing my You and Me in first. And I'm like, crap. I got to go back and do this whole scene in third person.
Oh, my God.
The whole series is in third person.
Oh, That's so hard. I don't know. So I have my degree in literature. So everything I've read is always this like really dense third person. Mm-hmm. And so when I started writing, I think I just went with first person to be rebellious. But I write very emotional, like heavy hitting. I tackle really like hard topics. So I feel like first person is just fitting for my style.
Nice. Awesome. It works very well for you. Very well.
Well, and we do have a couple questions. I'll go ahead and we'll toss a couple out there. You guys can answer those before we have Brittany read. But Karen, who is always our one of our top question askers, wants to know, do you play music while you write? And if so, what's your favorite? So we'll let Kaye answer first, but we want to hear from both of you.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I like complete silence, and it depends what scene I'm writing. So personally, I like listening to country music just in my general life. So sometimes I will listen to that. Most of the time I'll listen to like the Piano Guys, which does all instrumental of popular songs. Because classical music will put me to sleep. But if I'm listening to words sometimes I'm trying to write, it just messes me up. So it depends. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This last book that I wrote, there was an Oktoberfest scene at a club. And so I put on German electronic music just to like get into it. And I was standing at my desk and like dancing and writing at the same time. And it was so much fun. I'm like, I need to do this more often. So depends on what scene. And if I write steamy, so if I'm writing a sexy scene, I might put on some R&B. It depends on where I am.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Brittany?
I think it's pretty much the same as what she said. I can't, but I'm more productive when I don't have like words in a song. I find that I'm like sitting there focusing on the lyrics instead of writing. So I'll listen to songs with words to like hype myself up to write or to get myself into like the right mindset. But then I have to listen to like instrumental stuff while I'm writing or like complete silence. I have like noise canceling headphones. But yeah, it just depends on the mood and my emotions, writing the scene and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music, Dawn?
I have playlists for every book. Yeah, like
I probably do too.
Yeah, do new playlists. Like if I want, it to be like kind of cowboy upbeat, then I'll play, I don't know, like Miranda Lambert. So she's been in there before, her like kick-ass heroine. Like she is a kick-ass heroine in her, at least in her songs she is. So, but like for my PNRs right now, I listen to Taylor Swift and and like Disturbed, but Sounds of Silence by Disturbed. I mean, yeah, I do. I get playlists for my music, and I can't write. I mean, it either has to be like Brittany said, complete silence, or music in my head. Certain music though for the feeling. The Poison Ivy scene. Gosh. Is
there a question?
Yeah, Catherine said, "What was I listening to while writing the Poison Ivy scene?" I don't even know. I do. I also have some. Oh gosh, what's her name? She's like blonde and pop star.
That does not narrow it down.
No, it doesn't at all. Let me look. No, it doesn't. Let me look at my playlist.
Isn't there a song called
Meghan Trainor? Meghan Trainor. Maybe that's who it was. I don't know. Maybe I was listening to her and I'm like, oh, let's get a little spicy. I don't know.
Isn't there a song called Poison Ivy though? I don't know. Or am I making that up? I'm not going to try to sing it for everybody because you'll boo me out of the studio here. But
I feel like that would be really cool.
I'm going to look it up while Brittany's reading, and I'll come back and let you guys know. Okay, let's see. And then Karen also wants to know, what is the most difficult part of your artistic process? So why don't you take that one first, Brittany?
The most difficult part is trying to. I'm more of a pantser, so I have like a loose idea of where I want my plot to go, and then when it goes off rail, I have to stop writing and like process it. And try to figure out where the heck are these characters taking me, and then try to replan it in my head to make sure that I'm not gonna. I always start writing, and I end up cutting like 20K and starting over.
Oh no.
What?
So
20K?
I
do that.
every single novel. I delete at least 20K and start over. But the cool thing about Scrivener is I put it all in a different folder, so I can go back and pick things back up. Like, oh, this will make sense here. This will make sense here. But especially the Sinking Magi book, I have a writing accountability partner, and I'm like, I'm ready to hit delete because they've gone off track again, and I can't keep them in line. She's like, don't delete it. Don't delete it. Don't start over again, because I'm like 70K in. I'm like, I don't know if I like the way this is going. She's like, just take a break. But yeah, then I have to take a break and like process what the characters have done to me and figure out where the story really needs to go and if it still fits with my idea of how the story needs to end. And this was supposed to be the last book in the series, and they went off rail again. I'm like, well, crap, now I got to write a 4th book. So this is in the end, and I thought it was going to be the end. So now I have loosely plotted out like a 4th book, and that just threw the whole series for a loop because it was always supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's the difficult part is when the characters decide that they have other plans.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's like book 3A and book 3B.
Parts 1 and 2.
So like your finale
content.
A 2-part finale to your series.
Yeah, because I thought about just making one big book, and then I'm like, well, these books are like 100, a little over, like right at 100K or over 100K. But this would have been like 200K. And she's like, well, it's fantasy. You can do that. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if it's too much. But I'm about ready to like set these characters free because they're driving me nuts.
Well, how about you, Kaye? What's the most difficult part of your process?
So I'm one of those weirdos that loves editing. I love it. I thrive in the editing process. So I'd say the most difficult part for me is actually the writing. And it's not so much getting the story down, but I do what I call crunchwriting. So I will actually bang out a first draft in 7 to 10 days. And I write usually between like 75, it's more like 80,000 to 100,000 words. So I do like nothing else in that time but write. So like
how many words a day do you get in then?
I usually aim for at least 10K. The most I've ever done in a day was 17,000. And I hope to never have to do that again. I was really approaching a deadline. That was too much. That was way too much. But I like doing it in such a short time frame because it keeps me fully immersed in the story. So I literally like turn off my real life and I live in the story. So like my father-in-law comes over and walks the dog. I'm lucky if I get to eat. I hardly sleep and I don't shower for like 5 days. So don't come around me in that time period. So that's probably the most difficult part just because it's like grueling and it's labor intensive, but I love it at the same time. I do outline, but inevitably once I start writing, it goes in another direction and I have to go back and kind of fix it. And my characters are like, no, I don't like that idea anymore. Let's just change it. So there's always that challenge too. But I'd say it for the artistic process itself, I'd say that's the most challenging part for me. And I think it's mostly just because it's just grueling, the way that my process is, the way that I do it. I've tried to stretch it out, but I've found that just getting it, then I like get lost and I don't feel like I'm in the character's head as much as I was. So I find that that's the best way for me.
Nice.
I mean, that sounds absolutely awful and also amazing at the same time. I mean,
That's a great way to describe it.
Like, well, yeah, like Dawn, you've been homeschooling, kids and everything for the past, like 5 years, it feels like. And yeah, I mean, I've got, a husband and 3 kids at home. And so, yes, so having that, long periods of time to fully immerse yourself in the story and just get it out, that sounds wonderful. But yeah, also.
Do you find yourself like writing, like going on a sprint and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, you take a second because you're like, okay, where does this need to go? But then you start getting distracted and then you're just like, okay, now I got to get into it, like into it. Like if I feel like 17,000 words a day wouldn't allow for that.
It doesn't. And that's why I like to do it so crunched, is because then it So I'm an entrepreneur. I've owned like 8 businesses in my life. So I'm used to constantly having a million balls up in the air that I'm trying to juggle at the same time. So I feel like that's also why I have to do this like crunch time, because otherwise I've got 1,000 things going on at once. So I need it to be that time where I can shut down everything else and just make it happen, so I don't get as distracted, because I don't let myself do anything else but write.
Gotcha.
That kid would be breaking down the door if I tried to hide out for that long.
I know. Yeah, mine too.
I don't have kids, so that's lucky. My husband's been overseas since March of 2020, so I haven't seen him in 15 months. So I've got all this time on my
hands. Are you a military
to
wife too?
No, it's private stuff. It's private contracting.
Okay.
But...
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I was going to ask if he was back yet, but I didn't want to. I didn't. I kind of didn't.
He should be back this fall. Yeah, he should be back this fall. So it was only supposed to be like 6 months, but then COVID and all of the fun that comes along with that pushed everything back, and it just became a whole
Brittany
thing.
and I are military wives, so we know exactly what you're going through. Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we need to hear from Brittany, so I'm going to pop her up here. Take it away, Brittany.
All right, I'm going to read from, it's book 5 in my You and Me series. It's called Let Me Go. And it kind of takes the readers back in time to when the guys in the story were in the military. So it's sort of a prequel, and towards the end you kind of get into things that happen in books 1 and 2. This book was never supposed to be, like, it was supposed to be like a real brief, like, novella, and it turned into the biggest book I've ever written. But their story is really complex because of their history and whatnot, so I felt like just giving them a novella or like slipping in little bits and pieces of their story into their present day story wasn't going to do them justice. So Let Me Go was born. They are both in the Navy. She's an officer and he is a SEAL. He's an enlisted. I'm going to read the blurb, and then I'm going to read just a little bar scene that happens between Harper and Kyle. Intelligence officer Harper Sawyer is determined to prove herself as an asset to the U.S. Navy. Despite her genius IQ and lingual skills, excelling in a male-dominated field is not always easy. Her life revolves around helping the elite special ops teams succeed on their missions. Living his dream as a U.S. Navy SEAL, Petty Officer Kyle Williams has a career he loves and a team that is like family. He doesn't realize he's missing something until Harper literally falls into his life and turns his world upside down. However, fraternization rules mean a romantic relationship between Kyle and Harper is forbidden, and being caught can mean the end of their careers. Despite the risks, they embark on a secret romance that will change their lives forever. Life is full of trials, and their love might not be enough. Sometimes if you love someone, you have to let them go. And then we're going to pick up, it's just a little bit into chapter 1. Harper followed her brother Ben through the doors of the Rusty Anchor Bar and Grill after showing their IDs to the bouncer. "Why did I let you talk me into this?" Harper shouted over the music. "Because you need to live a little. Admit it. You always have fun when you go out with me. Lighten up, sis." He shook her shoulder and chuckled. "I'll buy the first round." "You'll buy all the rounds," she replied in a lower voice. "What was that?" Ben asked. "Nothing," she smiled sweetly. "Harper," a large man boomed, embraced her, lifting her off the floor. "I need to breathe, Roland," she grunted. Roland chuckled as he placed her back on the ground. "It's about time you came out to play. It's been a while." "You act like I'm a hermit." She rolled her eyes and followed the men into the bars. "Not a hermit," Ben said and motioned to the bartender, "but you've been glued to your work lately." "Fair enough. I've been busy. I need to focus." "Okay, well now you need to chill. Have some fun before you run off to be Superwoman or whatever it is you do." Roland handed her a drink. "I'm here. Enough pestering me about my social life or lack thereof." She snatched the beer bottle from him and took a gulp. "I like a girl who can handle her alcohol." Roland wiggled an eyebrow. "You like any girl, period." Harper rolled her eyes again. Roland was a playboy on Ben's SEAL team. Muscles, stunning brown eyes, and hair that bordered on being too long for regs. Harper would admit that he was extremely good-looking. However, she wasn't looking for a relationship, and Roland would be the first to admit that he only sought girls to scratch his itch. Besides, he was more like a brother than a friend. Quit hitting on my sister, Rolls. She's out of your league, and she could kick your... I'll let you kick whatever you want, Roland said, bumping her shoulder playfully and interrupting Ben. Harper choked and spit a bit of her beer before she recovered and wiped her mouth quickly. Alcohol abuse, Roland shouted and roared with laughter. You and your sexual innuendos, Harper shook her head. I don't know why it surprises me anymore. You know I'm just teasing you. Roland slid a few napkins her way. In all fairness, you're amazing and you would be a catch for any guy. If I'm too busy for a regular social life, what makes you think I have time for a relationship? Besides, you of all people should understand why I'm not interested in pursuing anything serious. Work complicates things too much. I don't need complicated. I need focus. Fair enough, he conceded. Maybe you just need to let loose. There are consequences for letting loose. She looked around the room. Where did Ben disappear to? She spotted her brother talking with a thin blonde. Well, that didn't take long, Roland chortled. By my calculations, you're well past your typical time. She glanced down at her watch. I'm going slow tonight, taking it easy. Still, Harper noticed his eyes scouring the room. Are you scanning for a potential threat or for another notch in your bed? Isn't that the same thing? He grinned. I walked into that one. She shook her head and took another swig of her drink. I'll never understand how you can have sex with someone and not get attached or form some sort of connection. Roland shrugged. Never thought of sex that way. Sex is sex for me. I see. She sipped her beer again. You think too much. Don't think. Just do. He bumped her arm. Again, there are consequences for not thinking. I suppose the consequences for you would be different from a dude. Indeed, she said. A redhead walked past and Roland leaned over for a better view. She just gave me the stink eye, Harper chuckled. She probably thinks we're a couple or something. Come play pool with us, Ben suddenly appeared with a blonde on his arm. I got us a table. Fine. Harper finished her drink and followed her brother. Kyle Williams and his fellow SEAL teammates, Elliot, Ryan, Paul, and Josh, entered the bustling sports bar. After a brutal day of training, all they wanted was a drink and to blow off some steam. They ordered a round of drinks as well as food and found an empty table, too hungry to wait on the rest of their team to show. Over the hum of the crowd and the music, a laugh caught Kyle's attention. A woman with dark hair, long legs, and a body that was well-toned and conditioned laughed with the man standing next to her. He watched, mesmerized and unable to look away. He recognized Roland, another SEAL, and he knew he had seen the woman somewhere before, but he couldn't put his finger on just where. Judging by her demeanor and body language, she wasn't flirting with Roland, and that upped his curiosity further. Roland was very much a playboy, and it wasn't unusual to see him with a different woman on different days of the week. Kyle ate and chatted with his teammates, but he found his gaze drifting to the beauty at the pool table. Why was he so drawn to her? Sure, she was beautiful, but he'd seen plenty of beautiful women in his time. Aha, she was the girl that tripped while they were out running earlier. He wondered why it had taken him so long to remember her. She'd rushed off so quickly that he hadn't been able to ask for a name. The training session had forced her from his thoughts, and he hadn't had much time to think about her until he saw her. What you looking at, bud? Ryan questioned. A girl? Woman, Kyle corrected him. Ooh, Walker's browsing. Paul turned to look around. Shut up and sit down, you big oaf. Kyle rolled his eyes. Leave him alone, guys. Let him browse in peace, Elliot smirked. When the girl moved to the bar alone, Kyle continued to observe her. No one followed her, so he stood and walked towards the bar. He casually took the empty seat next to her and motioned to Bill, the bartender, for another drink. Can I buy you a drink? He attempted to play it cool, but was mentally slapping himself. The woman chuckled and looked at him. Her blue-green eyes glinted in amusement. Does that line usually work with girls you're trying to pick up? He shrugged. Who says I'm trying to pick you up? Maybe I'm feeling courteous. Besides, this is twice I've run into you in one day. We bumped into each other on base. Maybe fate's trying to tell us something. Fate's trying to tell you you need to buy me a drink? She raised an eyebrow with a smirk. He shrugged again. Maybe. Well, then who am I to tempt fate? I'll have one drink, but don't expect me to put out or anything. I'm not that kind of girl. Didn't think you were, he smiled back and turned to Bill. Hey, Bill, can you get this pretty lady a drink, please, and put it on my tab? Sure thing, Kyle. Bill winked and brought back a Blue Moon beer and set it in front of her. Thanks, the girl said before taking a drink. So your name's Kyle? He nodded. I think you have me at a disadvantage. Harper. She held her hand towards him and shook it. I feel like I've seen you around before today. Do you come here often? Harper almost spit her beer out and had to cover her mouth as she snorted a laugh. First you asked to buy me a drink, and now you pull the "do you come here often" card? Kyle ran his hand over his neck. Yeah, I didn't think about that when I said it. No, I don't come here often. It's kind of rare. I came out with my brother, but he seems to have found someone and disappeared without a trace. She glanced around for him. I should have known better. Well, then, it's a good thing I swooped in. Your night isn't totally ruined. I don't even know you. You could be a serial killer or something like that. He chuckled. I'm no serial killer. Scout's honor. Besides, you know I must be in the military if I was on base. I know you're either in the military or you work on base. Apt deduction, she noticed. She nodded. Yes, I'm in the Navy. Ah, Navy gal. Me too, he frowned. Well, the Navy part, that is. Do you always get this flustered over a woman? A half smile curled at the corner of her lips. I'm not flustered. I'm just tired. It's been a long day. Been a long week, too, he sighed. I know that feeling. Harper nodded, finishing her drink. She looked down at her watch. Got somewhere you need to be? Kyle questioned. My bed, she chuckled. I have a long day and potentially long week ahead of me. She stood. Thanks for the drink, Kyle. It was nice to meet you. Maybe we'll see each other around. She sauntered off before he could say anything else. Kyle smiled. Game on. She wanted to play hard to get, and he was definitely up for the challenge. Then he smacked himself. Way to go, stupid, he murmured. Didn't get a last name or a phone number. He glanced around quickly, but she was nowhere to be seen. He groaned. Just his luck. A fresh beer slid in front of him. Strike out? Bill questioned. Kyle took the beer and shook his head. I don't know, but I didn't get her name or her last name or her number. Tough luck, man. Bill frowned. That one's on me. Thanks. He grabbed his beer and headed back to the table, mentally preparing himself for the heckling that was sure to come from his friends. Where's your new lady friend? Did she ditch you already? Paul joked. No, she had to go home, and I'm an idiot and didn't get her number. Kyle took a deep gulp of his beer. Last name? Elliot questioned. Didn't get that either, Kyle grumbled. Tough break, man. Ryan patted his shoulder. Kyle sighed. I think I'm going to head home, too. I'm tired. Don't forget we got an early morning run, Elliot smirked. Yeah. See you tomorrow, Kyle waved before he paid his tab and left the bar, his mind still stuck on Harper. And that is it.
I love it. Let's see, I'm getting this up. So I love this book so much. I've worked with the Navy SEALs before myself, so when I was reading her book, I was like, yeah, I could totally see all of it. So good job.
Thanks.
So do you have to do much research on Navy SEALs? I mean, I know you both have military experience and stuff, but
I was constantly asking Dawn and my husband questions, like, especially with like the weapons stuff, because that was like their specialty. And I'm like, I don't want to be that person that's like talking about guns in the wrong way. And I'm like, I think there was one scene I was like, now if I get shot by this gun and I have this kind of armor on, is it going to go through or is it going to like throw them back? Like I was asking Dawn and my husband, I'm like, the FBI is going to have a field day with my tech. Because I'm trying to figure out like what type of ammo will go through body armor that the SEALs wear. And like, yeah, it was fun. It was fun though. I just like to be as accurate as possible. But I took a lot of creative license with that one. So I was like, Dawn, don't murder me when you read this.
No, the only thing I remember texting her, I'm like, the only thing I found was like, they don't have to have a high and tight haircut. Yeah, and she's like, I'm taking creative. I'm taking creative. It fits my book. It fits my book. But that's the only thing I found.
I think I fixed that too. I think I made their hair a little bit longer because she was like, they need to blend in. And I'm like, okay, well, let's fix that. But yeah, some other guys are a little tightwads with their hair. And you'll see that in some of the other books. So I'm like, I can't fix that now because the books are already out. But yeah, I was like, Dawn, don't murder me when you read this book.
No, it was really good. I loved it.
You have to take those creative licenses.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, very much enjoyed that. And we have, I know, not that much time. We told you guys this would go fast. We're pushing up against time and we have a lot of questions left. So I'm going to skim through them real quick. And we have a lot of Karen questions tonight from both our Karens, because we have two Karens that that are watching. So both our Karens have questions. We did Karen Hoffman's. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to get a couple of Karen Wrights in, and then we can go back and forth. Let's see. Karen Wright wants to know, what are your hobbies besides thumbing through Navy SEAL and firefighter calendars? No, just kidding.
Well, I live in Florida. I live on the water, so I spend a lot of time at the beach, and I have a stand-up paddleboard that I love to take out. And I have a dog. I have an 80-pound rescue mutt, and Karen knows all this, but so I like to take him out, and we go. And I used to live up north, so I miss being able to really go hiking and all of that. That doesn't. I mean, they say it's hiking down here, but that's not the same. So we go into the woods. We go hiking in the woods. But I do like to spend a lot of time outdoors. That's one of the benefits of being down in Florida.
Does your dog go on your paddleboard with you?
No, he's terrified of water.
Oh, gosh.
It's bad. He's terrified of water. Although he's a lab Great Pyrenees, like border collie mix. He's like 11 different things, but you'd think that maybe he'd like it, but no, he hates it. Even if we walk, there's like a river that runs through downtown that we usually walk along, and if it's like too choppy sometimes and it hits the side, he runs across the other side. So it's cute because he's 80 pounds, so it's funny, but he hates the water.
Yeah, we have so we have a tiny cabin up north, and we bought an inflatable stand-up paddleboard.
That's what I have.
Yep, which is super cool. I mean, I had no idea. When I thought inflatable, I was like, I don't know about that, but they're really, I mean, you wouldn't know it was inflatable by just looking.
You have no idea.
But yeah, I was trying to think, like, how could you ever? I've had my dog. We have two dogs, and I had the little one who's like 65 pounds in the kayak with me once, and I thought we were going to tip over. So
I'm sure
I don't do that with the stand-up paddle boards. So just curious. What about you, Brittany? What are your hobbies?
I'm a book nerd, so I like to read. I can't really read a whole lot while I'm writing, so when I'm not writing, I try to read as much as possible. But we have 4 kids, and we homeschooled pre-COVID. So while we're in Virginia, we've really taken advantage of all the historical stuff because we're all kind of history buffs. So we've had a lot of fun, like exploring like Jamestown and the Revolutionary War Museum and stuff like that. So we try to find some outdoor stuff, but now that it's hot, I'm like, I can't do it. So I'm happy to be moving to Washington because it's like none of this 90-degree stuff, and we can enjoy the outdoors more. We're talking about, getting some chickens or something, and and enjoying the not 90-degree melting weather.
My husband, we were hiking the other day, and I like to go outside and just sit there. And my husband's always like, "You're gonna miss this heat, this southern heat, because I'm cold. Like I'm always cold.
I'd rather be cold than
freeze."
hot. I mean, you saw me with Dawn and I took the kids to a little splash pad, and I had this little neck fan. Cause I'm like, I cannot do the heat. Like
I was jealous of it. I was jealous of it.
Amazon, it's like $10.
But I'm look at this. I've got this wrap on, and it's actually 73 degrees in my apartment, in my house. So I'm freezing all the time.
I'm excited about like hoodies all the time, and I can wear my leggings without melting because I'm pasty white, so the shorts don't do me. I mean, I put Dawn, like we're sitting underneath this like cover thing, and I've got sunburn.
Yeah.
And then I stuck my legs out to get sun, and I've got sun splotches on my legs, and then it's white everywhere else. I'm like, how the heck did this happen? We're in the shade, and I stick my legs out in the sun to get sun, but my legs don't get burnt.
Right,
but
your shoulders.
all here is burnt. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not going to miss the heat at all.
I think our bodies change over the years. I mean, I grew up in Texas, and I mean, we used to lay out with baby oil on and juice in our hair, and I mean, it was just nuts. And now I can't handle the heat at all. I mean, I get migraines, like heat-induced migraines, if I try to do stuff outside. So I don't know. I'm blaming, I don't know, like biology on all that.
That's a good excuse. So I'm going to start using that one. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't go outside because look at this. We were out for like an hour or so.
An hour.
And
Yeah.
Burnt in the shade. And it was cloudy. That's what I don't get. I'm like, I'm roasted.
But my little redheaded, he's not a stepchild, he's my actual child, but he's redheaded. He burnt his shoulders too, and I put sunblock on him.
Well, my boys are dark.
Amazing.
I took a picture last night of my youngest son next to my hand, and he's like dark. And I'm like, pasty white.
Yeah.
And he didn't get it from me.
Funny. All right, let's see. Karen Hoffman had a couple more questions. See if we can fit a couple more in. When you're writing an emotional or difficult scene, how do you set the mood?
Music.
Yeah, music's a big thing. And then I'll try to like play the scene out in my head. And I'm sure my husband's caught me doing like talking to myself, trying to get in that headspace. And then I just sit down and like try to pound it out as fast as possible, because I know if I take too many breaks, especially if you're like killing off a character or something that you really like, you have to like mentally prepare for that. And so yeah, music. And I try to I write a lot at night because I write better at night. So I'll like take a shower to relax and just put my music on and get into the proper headspace, like angsty music or sad music, depending on what the scene is, and just write.
Yeah, music definitely helps too. Although interestingly though, because when I write those most difficult emotional scenes are usually in silence. Now that I actually think about it, those are usually when I'm completely silent. So I think maybe my theater background helps a little bit with this, but because I write firefighters, a lot of like the emotional fire scenes really hit home for me, because they're things that either I've been in a version of or could have potentially been in the situation. So the last book, the 6th book in my series that just came out, there's this one scene that is like, he ends up trapped, and there's a bunch of stuff that happens that I'm not going to give it away, but it very much could have easily happened to me, given like my relationships and what I've been through. And so I actually filmed myself sobbing writing it. It's on my TikTok if you're into that stuff. But I think it's just, and that's like we were talking about first person, I think that's where it really helps to be in first person, because it lets me get into the character more. But those are my favorite scenes to write usually. I like that hard emotional stuff.
That's the good stuff.
And since you mentioned TikTok, Kaye, because I kind of know you a little bit. I mean, we've video chatted and things before, and I came across your TikTok one day, and because you did this whole series where you were talking as if you were the heroine in your books. And so I was like, I mean, you totally caught me. I stopped my scroll because I was scrolling, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, I don't think that's like, I didn't think Kaye had that kind of background or something. And then I realized you were, like talking as if you were one of your characters. So it was really fun. So yeah, if you are on TikTok, make sure you check out some of Kaye's videos, because Kaye, according to his book, has lived like 1,000 different lives.
That's it.
People, I know.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, awesome.
TikTok has been it's been a fun new thing. So I don't know that I know what I'm doing on there yet, but I definitely get sucked in and have spent way too much time watching.
Way too much time on TikTok.
Even just making content. Like I've taken a bit of a break from it just because I've been really focusing on getting this next book ready to go. And I spent like all of my writing. So I've taken a little bit of a break from it because it really is super time consuming. But as an author, I mean, I think it's one of the most beneficial platforms we have out there right now in terms of visibility and expanding your audience. As much as I love my Facebook group and my loyal fans, in terms of finding new people, I think TikTok with the algorithms is the best way to do that right now.
It's been great.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I just got on it. Brittany convinced me over the last 6 months. I'm still convinced the Chinese are gonna get my identity.
I figure they got it anyway, so
that's my attitude. Just pretend to be somebody else.
I know.
I don't know. Do we have time for one or two more questions?
Let's do one more.
Okay. Oh gosh, I'm skipping back and forth because I skipped a couple before. Let's see. I think I'll just do a generic kind of blend a couple of them, and it's basically what inspired you to write and what's coming next.
My Magi series I actually started writing when I was in 8th grade. And it was like a mix of like Harry Potter and Star Wars were really big. And I had always liked writing. I would like get sucked into my little zones with writing random stuff. And so I started writing that. And it took me 10 and a half years to finish the first book in the Magi series. And then after the second one, it was I was driving to pick up my husband because he had been gone for a week on a trip. And it was right when 50 Shades of Grey had come out. And I was like, well, what if the female was the billionaire? And I wanted to kind of do a clean take on like that 50 Shades thing, because I'm like, it's not really my cup of tea. So how do I make something like that my cup of tea? So it's like outside. I always have outside inspiration. Like I have a royal spinoff series planned for my You and Me series, and all that's because, I mean, the whole royal drama has been all over the news. So, yeah. So I'm like, I've got 3 or 4 books planned for that. So it's always like I get like an idea and I just kind of run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's coming up? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Kate.
No, that's fine. No, go ahead. You can answer that part.
What do you coming up? You've got a royal spinoff coming up, and anything else that you've got coming up?
Working on the You and Me series. I've got at least 5 or 6 more books planned in that, and then the royal spinoff, and then I'm hopefully gonna at least get book 3 finished in the Magi series. But there's at least 4 total for that series that I have planned, and then after that, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
How many books do you have published?
2, 5, 7. I keep losing track of it. So 7, and then hopefully I'll have 2 more out this year. We'll see, because life's been extremely nuts for us, and I had planned to have 1 out by now, and then it's just like I had to take a break to focus on my family and get into a really rough patch. And now moving, it's kind of been an unexpected move. So we'll see how many we can crank out. Hopefully 2. We'll see. I feel like that's a little hopeful.
Put it out there. You got it.
Yeah.
What about you, Kay?
Oh, I got started. I'm an only child, so I've been making up stories for as far back as I can remember, and I've always been a very avid reader. My grandmother taught me how to read when I was like 2, so I've always just been a reader. And I had a difficult home life growing up, so escaping into my imaginary worlds was always like my solace. So, I mean, I was writing when I was a kid. I used to write on the typewriter because I loved the sound. It was and then my mom sold it in a garage sale, and I got so upset. But so that's how I really got into it. And I have my degree in literature. I did teach college for a while. I've published academically, and it's been a goal of mine to be an author since I was a kid. It's always been a plan of mine. So that's really how I got into it. In terms of when I started publishing, it started because, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I own 3 businesses last year, and 2 of them, one's a brick and mortar, like it's a bar, like a bar situation. So that was completely closed. And the other one was retail, and the other one was service based. So I pretty much shut down my businesses essentially last year, and I needed to make up for that income. So that's how I got started publishing last year. And then in terms of what's next, I kind of talked about it a little bit before, but I've got a book coming out on the 23rd. It's Burning for Trouble. It's the 7th book in my Burning for the Bravest Firefighter series. And then my spinoff series, which is Flirting with the Finest, is following the Special Investigations Task Force. That comes out in August. And I have a few other projects coming up, but they haven't been announced yet. So can't talk about it just yet, but I'm excited. Lots of good stuff.
Awesome.
Well, it's definitely been fun talking with both of you. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Sure. So my website is kaykennedy.com, and it's Kaye. And then I am most active in my Facebook group, which is Romance Reads That Kiss and Tell with Kaye Kennedy. And I think it's just facebook.com/group/Kaye Kennedy. And then on Instagram and my Facebook page is Written by Kaye, and TikTok is author Kaye Kennedy. And all my books are in Kindle Unlimited, so that's on my Amazon page.
Mm-hmm. Brittany, what about you?
Yep, all my books are on Kindle Unlimited right now, and then I'm pretty active on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and then I have a website, BrittanyArmitage.com, and then all my other social media is author Brittany Armitage. But yeah, pretty much the normal TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We had a blast with you.
You.
Giveaway is open through Sunday. So if you haven't been over to the Romance Happy Hour Facebook page, make sure you stop by there. We've got, you both have books up for grabs. So and we'll leave that open until Sunday. And next time Dawn will be here by herself or
solo
with a scruffy like co-host maybe.
Well, he's still in right now, so he can't have scruff. He's still got to shave and go to work and stuff. So
all right.
I wish that
co-host that has more testosterone than me. Right? Can we say that?
All right. Well, we'll see you later. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and thank you readers for joining us tonight as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.